I read chapters 14 and 15 of the Legal Environment of Business. In chapter 14, mostly I talked about intellectual property. Some key things that actually pointed me out in this chapter were these few things. I learned about trade dress, which is the overall appearance and image of a product that's acquired secondary meaning. This is kind of basically like seeing like a mannequin with a full thing of clothes if you're shopping in an aisle, or this is kind of like at a car dealership where you see a bunch of cars in front of it to know which one you would want to buy. Also, another definition I learned was patent, which is the grants that hold the exclusive rights to produce, sell, and use a product to process, intervent, machine, or asexually be reproduced for about 20 years. Also, another thing I learned was cross-licensing. It is a illegal practice in which two who have patented objects only on condition that neither will license anyone else to use these patent products without the other's consent. That basically means that, let's say, you bring a product back that's been gone for a while, and if you don't really confirm anything, this could lead into some legal trouble. I also learned about copyright. It's the exclusive legal right to reproduce, publish, and sell the fixed form of an expression of an original creative idea. Usually, copyright is usually something we usually see a lot in the film business. This as usually one of the big warnings that's usually on, like, say, a DVD or before a film is played, is to make sure that you don't copyright it due to the offense that it could have in the legal system. I also learned about trade secret. It's a process, product, method of operation, of completion of information used in and that may bestow a competitive advancement on the business. In chapter 15, a huge thing that I learned about it were the different types of ways that agencies can affect the legal business. First, an agency is a fiduciary relationship between two people in which one acts on behalf of and subject to the control of the other. This basically means that that it's basically in charge of protecting the law from other people. There are mainly a lot of agencies out there that includes like the FBI and the CIA. Aside from that, there's express authority. It's the authority that arises from specific statements made by the principal to the agent. There's also actual authority, which includes express authority as well as implied authority, or that authority customarily is given to an agent in industry, a trade, of a profession. And there's also different types of agencies that are out there. There's express agency, which is an agency relationship formed through an oral or written agreement. There's also the power of attorney, which is an agency agreement used to give an agent authority to sign legal documents on behalf of the principal. There's also agency by implied authority. This is an agency relationship in which customs and circumstances, rather than a detailed formal agreement, determine the agency's authority. There's also agency by ratification, which is an agency relationship in which an unauthorized agent commits the principal to an agreement and the principal later accepts the unauthorized agreement, thus ratifying the agency relationship. Agency by estoppel is an agency relationship in which the principal is stopped from denying that someone is the principal's agent after leading a third party to believe that the person is an agent. There's also two principles that also caught my eye. There's disclosed principle, which is one whose identity is known by the third party when the latter enters into an agreement negotiated by the agent. There's also a partially disclosed principle, which is one whose identity is not agreed although the third party does not know that an agent represents a principal. And then there's indisclosed principle, which is one whose identity and existence are unknown to the third party. Basically, from reading about these two chapters, it kind of helped expand my mind. Some of the stuff I know already, which included stuff like copyright, right, as well as an agency. But it ended up expanding my mind a little bit about how much more rules that an agency would have to follow than just, say, follow orders. This also made me understand the different types of authorities as well as principles that one an agency might have when it comes to doing their job. And I feel like that learning these in business law can actually help expand upon it because it will also let anybody who actually has any interest in working for, say, an industry or an agency know exactly what to do in certain situations like this.